questions about the Western Illinois matchup?
We're excited. I think everyone from our staff to our players are really anxious to get back on the floor and play. We had a lot of information coming out of our first exhibition game, and have worked hard as a group to go and try and clean some things up and figure some more things out about our team. And we've had good workouts. In particular, our last 3 or 4 of them have really been good workouts, and there's a good balance about our guys. There's a good togetherness right now, which is good to see. And I think everybody understands sort of what we're trying to build with this group is the depth and the opportunity to have a lot of different types of players impact this team as the season goes along. And here early in November, it gets started tomorrow, and I think we're anxious to play. And we're ready to go.
Okay, Zach?
I guess kind of a 2-part question. One's just, where's the healthier backcourt right now? And as you think about that, Armand, the game he had, I know you talked about him after the Gannon game, just how much more have you put on him, at least to maybe, kind of get you through this period where maybe some guys are getting healthy? I know maybe point guard isn't his long-term future, but at least kind of the here and now.
Well, backcourt health has been the biggest concern here in the month of October. As we've really entered November here, as we've entered our regular season start, Robert and Devontae in particular have not been a part of what we're doing. Although Rob got an opportunity to play a little bit the other day, I think it was widely described as his real first opportunity to play, 5-on-5. Post-game, we evaluated him again. He's taken some time, and our medical team has done some other things to try and make him more comfortable, and I think he's as comfortable as he's been. And as we enter today, he's a part of our plan in terms of practice, which is good to see. Devontae is still out, time to be determined with that hamstring. He's going to take it day by day. There's no rush, and the biggest thing with him is to make sure that when he does come back, he's able to fully engage and we don't have any setbacks. But it's definitely been a challenge. The backcourt not being together, our chemistry, and that being, the reality is it's probably the most experienced group of people playing together. They haven't been a part of it, so that's been a challenge. But it has given Armand, it's given Denise, and it's given Jerome and Justin to some extent on the perimeter a lot more opportunities and repetitions. So hopefully, as the silver lining is, those guys have gotten a lot more work. Armand has been, I've always said this, I think from the beginning of him entering campus in June and entering back in here in the fall, going through our fall preseason, a month of practice and some change. As we enter our first game, I couldn't be more pleased with Armand in terms of what he's been able to handle and what we've asked him to do. And here early, he's gotten a lot of extended minutes and reps because of the injuries, which I think, again, silver lining looking back on it, would we know as much about him now? Probably not if things were good. But Armand will play, obviously a heavy role here early in November as we're getting ready to get going. We have a lot of confidence in him. And, Denise, Jerome, Justin, moving into the perimeter. Al coming back, is now back engaged in practice after he had to sit last week with, a 10-day period of time where arrested his knee contusion, bruise, whatever it may have been. So getting Al back has been a really, really nice surprise. I think Al plays a pivotal role in us in November and us getting started with his ball handling and experience being a third-year player. So me as the coach, I'm optimistic right now that a lot of these things hopefully can come back together. We're at full strength, but I think the other guys are prepared.
Coach, in the exhibition, in the first half, Jerome Hunter settled for a lot of outside shots. The second half, it looked like there was a point of emphasis to post him up against some of the smaller guards. As you kind of ease him back into it, where do you think he can be most effective offensively?
Well, again, Jerome, first live action in over a year. Did not participate in any games and/or practices as a freshman. So as you watched him play the other day, you saw a guy that, in all reality, was the first time out in front of fans, the first time it was 5-on-5, and you can always anticipate there to be some nervousness, some jitter, some anxiousness. And I thought his shot selection and his quickness about entering the game and what he kind of phased himself in was the outside shot. Be honest with you, he's making those shots. He can make those shots, but probably more so than anything, he's going to have to get that under his belt. Second half, you saw much more physical Jerome. You saw a lot what we see in practice was him around the basket, posting a little bit more on the glass, a little bit more. So I think hopefully you see a balance of that, and he'll be more comfortable as we enter the fray here coming in to tomorrow night. And he's done a pretty good job in practice, continue to do it. He's just got to continue to be sure with the ball. I think that's the big thing with our team, is to be sure with the ball, especially as you look at our backcourt, you look at some of the combinations of players that we have up there. They're all new, either first-year guys together or freshmen or what it may be. A sophomore just playing for the first time. Is being sure with the ball, and I think as those guys get more comfortable, they'll have more rope and more freedom and confidence. But early here, the one thing is to get in there, is to get a feel, is to not make mistakes. And I think just being sure with the ball is something we've talked a lot with Jerome about here recently.
You just talked at the beginning basically about just everything you kind of learned from that exhibition game and things you wanted to clean up. I guess just kind of, if you could elaborate on a little bit of that. What were, after you got a second, third look at it, what were some things that you liked about the exhibition? What were some things that you feel like you built off of?
Well, if you look at the first half, we got off to a decent start defensively, and then that led to our offense. And then probably the back half, the last 10 minutes of the first half, we were just not very efficient offensively. And I think this team has to set the tone with its ability to obviously push the ball, but it has to set the tone with the ability to get the ball inside, especially early in the game, trying to draw fouls, getting our front court players anxious to run and get them the ball. We didn't do that in the first half. And you can kind of tell with the fouls drawn, first half comparison versus second half comparison. Second half, multiple guys really did a great job of taking their time, got the ball inside the number of guys. We started the half by drawing fouls. So that was a good thing. It was establishing the physical dominance, establishing the approach at the front of the basket, the paint was much better. So I thought that was, first half to second half. And now moving into what we're doing now, we have to be a team that really applies pressure at the rim. So that was good. Defensively, we weren't very good in a lot of areas. Sometimes you look out there as a coach and you want your system and you want your guys to know what they're doing, but in all reality, there's a lot of first-year guys or first years to the program, or a guy like Jerome who's been here for a year, or Race who's been here but hasn't played a ton of minutes. So you see some inexperience defensively. I hope that we're better as we approach the opener, and we're going to be on a quest to become the best defensive team we can be. And I think this team knows if we hang our hat defensively with the numbers that we have, that's our best chance of becoming a really good team, a consistent team. So, defensively in all areas is getting better. And rebounding, continuing to rebound the ball. It's got to be a great emphasis for this team on both sides of the board, and we have to be able to do that. From an execution standpoint, all the little tedious things, you're going to go through each day, each week, try to get better at it, which we've done, and hopefully we look sharper in terms of running our stuff and moving the ball. I think Al and Rob both being back in again hopefully can really help that as well.
Jeff?
So 2 questions. First of all, just for clarity on the backcourt, who is actually out tomorrow and who can't play?
Right now, as it stands today, Devontae's definitely out. He's to be determined. I don't necessarily know when that will be, but as of right now, that stands. That's pretty much what we're dealing with right now, is Devontae being out. I think everyone else, as we approach practice today, is going to be in portions of it, or be cleared to start to move forward, with it be full go and whatnot. So, as we head into the opener, anticipate, seeing how Rob does today and feels. Most likely right now it's Devontae that is for sure 100% out.
And then second question, just on Al Durham, you talked about him being the backup point guard. He's probably going to have to do a little more at this point.
Oh, without question. His role has really increased, and he's done a really good job with it. I think as a staff, and just in talking it out here this morning and watching, he's very comfortable in what we've asked him to do. He's got the most reps at what we're asking him to do, and as Rob and Devontae, who have played point guard in their time here, haven't been in, it's given him a good opportunity to hit the ground running. He's done a good job, and so I feel very confident now. I wouldn't even term him as the backup. I think Al's a very, very vital piece to what we're doing with the ball. We're playing with a guy like Robert Devontae. It doesn't matter to me, but Al's going to play a lot of point guard this season.
Coach, with the health issues of the backcourt, front court is obviously expected to probably put more of an impact. Trace Jackson-Davis looked really good in the exhibition game. How much are you expecting out of him? And is he somebody that you can see breaking into the starting lineup this season?
Well, Trace, through 25 practices right now, is the #1 player on our team in practice points by over 100 points. It's not a slim margin. So he's doing some things really well for us every day. And if he does those things well every day, he's going to continue to see success. Definitely see Trace as being a vital part of what we're doing, an impact player. He's one of the best players, most talented guys on our team. He's young, he's inexperienced, but he's got to get thrown into the fire. So I see him playing, as many minutes as he can handle. I think with young front court players in particular, early in November, there's some ups and downs, that he's going to go through. But without question, we're putting a lot on him. And his energy level, his motor is the deal that you watch with him. The harder he runs, the more active he is on the glass, the better off he's going to be. The more active he is and the smarter he is defensively, the more beneficial he is for our team. He's going to get a first taste of it here coming up tomorrow where, they're not all going to be 6'10" guys he's guarding. He's going to be guarding smaller players too. So now that whole element of can you cover the three-point line, can you get back in transition and not run to the rim per se, you're dealing with more of a perimeter player. So he's getting ready to get, baptized by fire, but very, very happy with where he's at. His production in practice is the thing that we hang our hat on, and he's been able to establish from a practice standpoint that he's able to really handle some of these areas at an elite level for where we're at. He can always get better, and he's going to, but without question, his role and what we're asking him to do, what he's going to have, what he expects to do, I think, to me is to be very pivotal.
Coach, as you prepare for year 3, can you talk a little bit about what preparing for the season in October and such has been like this year compared to, say, the first 2?
Each season presents different challenges. I feel like this group of staff that we have right now is very locked in arms and also very centered in on how this team has to play. Each season you kind of go in with an expectation of kind of the known. We had a little bit of an unknown with this group. You have 3 new players. You have guys coming off injury a year ago. You have some freshmen like Denise and Jerome who didn't play as much. And then, you're kind of hoping that your older players, Deron, Devontae, Al, Justin, those guys are your anchors, so you're trying to mesh it. But I think that what we figured out is we have a group that hopefully there's very little drop-off, which is what we anticipated being from 1 through 8 through 9 through 10. And, at given time, 9, 10, 8, 7 are going to play as big of a role as 1, 2, 3 on this team. And that's what we've conveyed. And the plan has really been to allow that to grow. And development, trusting your depth, putting it on them in practice where those guys have to do it every day has been the biggest thing that we've held our hat on as a staff. And I think that we've shown that the guys earn the right to do the right things every day and come to work. They're going to get an opportunity to help the team. And I think that's a big thing here in November, is how this team evolves chemistry-wise, development-wise. Is everybody, on the same page? Each game in, game out, are you seeing good production, even in little minutes or a lot of minutes? So that's been good. I think from a preparation standpoint, we're very, very comfortable and confident that our system can be tweaked at times, and I think we've tweaked it. Offensively, we've tweaked a bunch. We're very comfortable with what we're doing. I think defensively, we're learning, playing bigger lineups and whatnot, how we're going to struggle, and at times being able to maneuver into a smaller lineup, which we haven't done yet, but those are things that I think we're very comfortable with. So I think as we prepared for the season, as we prepared for this team, there's been very few surprises. If they have been surprises, they've been on the positive, but each game, each week will present something different. And I'm confident, though, in this group and in our plan that we're 100% locked in, and I think our guys know that we have a ton of confidence in what we do that works.
Last question.
Yeah, Coach, how have you evaluated kind of those different combinations and lineups? Because, you want to play with depth, in the preseason games and in practice, and how much of that is going to be an ongoing process in terms of, finding different guys to play together on the floor at different times?
Yeah, that's going to be unique. It's going to be a key. As a staff going into this season, more so than anything, there may be opportunities that each game employs a first half script, more of a rotation that we're sticking with regardless of the circumstances, unless there's fouls or injuries, where we bite the bullet at times and give guys certain chances or see certain rotations work together. Second half, we've always been above the philosophy of all bets are off. In the second half, it's who's going is going to go and what's working is going to work, and we're going to stick with it. But in the first half, to be able to develop your team and to be able to see certain things, you have to figure out and give them a chance to do that. So I could see us here early in the season playing a lot of guys early, maybe slimming that down as we go through the game, but early in the game seeing different rotations. And that could mean runs of good and bad. But I like going into a game knowing that we have 10 players or 11 players that are capable of getting in there and helping you. That's a strength. And I think we have to accept, and our team has to accept, that with that being said, there's going to be some sacrifice on that. But there's nothing more fun than winning with a group that is committed to it. You have a lot of different guys impacting the team, feeling good about themselves. So that's the positive, and that's what we have to be able to bring to the forefront as our team looks at different rotations and lineups and minutes in games.
All right, Coach, thank you.
Thank you.